Deep Dive with Vanessa Mdee is brought to you by the African Creative Agency in partnership with producer and show creator Amanda Rosenberg.
Check the box, male or female. With pride, I check female. A pride that is derived from beating the odds. They say we are inferior, or rather, they program us to feel inferior. And yes, I should feel inferior, when culturally I am at a disadvantage. I come second to my male counterparts at every chance the oppressor, the programmer, is availed the opportunity to prove his point. I've seen the look in many timid faces of my sister girls, many times, when they have been placed in submission. Even worse, when we condone this position. But no, not me. In the words of Eleanor Roosevelt, nobody can make you feel inferior without your consent. So I decline every time you put me in line to be your underlying feeling. I refuse your projection. I am girl. Girl is me. Nurturer, mother, leader, not what you expect me to be. Deep Dive with me, Vanessa Mdee. It's funny, I had a guy I was once dating, and he said to me, why is it so important for you to speak about girls like this? Like, it was weird to him. He said, I think that girls should stop this banter about equality or fighting for, I looked at him, I said, how do you mean? Please elaborate. He said, well, women are stronger than men. I said, yes, we are. He said, when you keep fighting for something, people get tired of you and they ignore you. And I just was baffled by this nonsensical notion of his. But I also felt that I wasn't in a space to argue with him about it, because some people culturally are programmed to look at women a certain way. Now I come from Tanzania. I come from East Africa. I come from societies that are very patriarchal. Men are the leaders of everything. Even though, if you think about it, women build our communities. Like, time and time again, even in our homes, in our small communities, mothers take care of the children. Okay, well, they birth the children, of course, but they also take care of the children when our breadwinners are away. They feed the children even when our breadwinners can't feed the children. Mothers, they plow the fields. I actually recently watched an interesting movie on Netflix, The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind. And I remember one part, the daughter was arguing with her mom about, there was an issue about being able to feed the family. And she was arguing with her mom. And she said to her mom, there'll be one less mouth to feed if I leave, or I leave to get married, or if I leave the house. So there's more for everyone. And I remember her mother saying to her, now I don't have a child, so I felt deeply connected to the daughter's emotion. However, her mother's response was, do you not see that I will break my back before my child is hungry or sick or unhappy? So in that moment, I put myself in the position of a mother, as a nurturer, and I feel this way about just people around me in general, even as a young woman who is chasing, living, breathing a dream. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that when I stand on a stage as a singer, as a female singer, as a musician, I can be 10 times more prepared than my male counterparts. I'll give you an example. To get ready for a normal show, a woman has to first get her hair and her makeup done. That takes hours. A woman has to rehearse her butt off for her performance. Vocally, if she's a dancer, get her choreography right. If she's, a little overweight, she's got to work months on end to look the part. And all of these are because we want to be a full package, whereby my male counterparts don't have to be half as prepared as me. Now, in Africa, or at least in Tanzania, every time I get on stage and I'm giving my all, vocals are on point, my body looks great, my outfit is 110, and then I'm like killing it with the moves and like performing the heck out of, killing the show. The audiences are silent. And at first this troubled me a lot. I was like, why won't they respond to me? And I thought it was a personal thing. And I really battled with this. I was like, what am I not doing right? But I noticed that every time I would turn around and shake my ass a little bit, I'd get a crazy response. They would be like, wah. Now, mind you, the audience is comprised of 70% male, 30% female. And when you're performing for a lower LSM, it's like most of the men are up front. For security purposes, the women will be at, like the back end of the show. So I'm talking about like a open air stadium type show that has about 30,000, 50,000 people, or even less. Even like a space with 5,000 people. That's still a lot of numbers, open air. And, anyway. So this troubled me. I was like, why am I not getting the response that I want, except when I turn around and shake my ass? And then so I had to kind of like plow this culturally and look at it. And then I found the answer. And the answer is African men are not programmed to see women in positions of power or leadership. How can you stand on a stage and say, hands up, or sing and expect these male fans to sing back to you? If they do that, it means they're submitting to your power. And so culturally, it's embedded in them that, no, bitch, shake your ass. You know what I'm saying? So what I ended up doing is I would test it out. Now, I've been in a very long relationship with a male artist from Tanzania, a great guy. I would test it out with him. I would perform at shows and I would do about 70% of the show without him on stage. And then I would invite him on stage towards the end of the show, and you could literally see the heightening of the show. And it troubled me a lot. And I'd go back home. I'd be so pissed at him. I'd be like, why did you have to do that? And really, he didn't do anything. He was just being a performer, and he was just being, a partner. And when I finally got over the need or the want to get a response from this very male-dominated fan base, I started to enjoy my shows. I didn't care if they made noise or if I got a response from them. I said, you know what? They're going to look at me and respect the shit out of my performance and be like, damn, she bad. I was watching Coachella, and I was watching Beyonce's performance, the one she did last year. Yeah? And I was looking at the audience too. And for the first few minutes, they were completely like, crazy screaming, which is usually the case. And then they all went silent and they were in awe. And then I got a different perspective. I said, maybe they're in awe. And so that's the perspective I've stuck to since then. Anyway, the reason why I bring this up is because this is just a small example of what we have to deal with on a daily as performers, as women in any industry. You can correct me if I'm wrong, or you can reference your industry, I know a lot of times when people don't want to deal with a force that is a woman or a woman in power. And this is the case across the board in every industry. So, I think that the discussion of it is helping a little bit more, and people are becoming more aware. And there's also programs to facilitate more women in positions of power now. So that's great. But now I'll take you back to a situation I was in a month ago. I recently did a nationwide tour, recently being last year. I did a nationwide tour called In Love and Money. It was the first tour of its kind. I remember trying to find funding for the tour. Now, the system is a bit different in Africa. As an independent artist, you have to basically fund everything. You're gonna pay for your videos, do your makeup, distribution, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, long story short, I really wanted to do a tour that catered to me as an artist, and I didn't want to do the types of shows that I was invited to. Sometimes the sound was whack, the stage didn't bring out my best side. Like, I just wanted to do more as a creative for myself and to give my fans a better experience. Excuse me. Now, as we went on this tour, I added my partner on board. I said, added value. Of course, I know what people want. As the businesswoman, I said, okay, it could only make it better. So we did this nationwide tour. It was fantastic. We were selling out like venues, 15,000 people to like 25,000 people. Outdoor venues, crazy cool. And so it was uber successful, and we had planned to continue this tour. So we went on the Burundi leg of the tour, which was our first outside Tanzania leg of the In Love and Money tour. While I was in Burundi, and while we actually throughout the course of this tour, a lot of people said to me, females don't sell out arenas, right? Females don't fill up venues, right? Nobody comes to a female, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, that's fine. I don't mind. I'm all about defying, the odds. And if 5 people come, I'm going to perform the hell out of, give my best show for these 5 fans. Anyway, we beat the odds and we go to Burundi. We're in the city of Bujumbura, which is the capital city of Burundi, which is in East Africa. The venue's filled up at 7 p.m. Now, in Africa, shows fill up later on in the night. Like, shows only begin towards like 10 o'clock at night. That's when the venues start to fill up. But the venue was full at 7. I hadn't even put in my wig. So I literally had to like put myself together. And I went to the show, and it was packed, and it was a Sunday night, and it was open to everyone, like all ages. So I was happy that, we could complete the show early so the kids could go to school tomorrow morning. So the show was packed. Everything was successful. I had the greatest response out of Burundi. Mind you, this is the first time I'd ever visited the country of Burundi, which is a country that's been suffering for a couple of years. It's been in turmoil. There's been a lot of political instability. And the image that you have of Burundi, or at least what you see in the news, is that it's, there's a lot of war, they're in combat, there's constant, friction. And that wasn't the case. I bumped into this beautiful land, beautiful, picturesque, like as beautiful as any Eastern African nation. And people are so welcoming and kind. And at least to me, they were the exact opposite of what I would expect, And so my whole thing, the whole time I was there, was to kind of change the narrative of what Burundi is portrayed as. And, we did that so much across social media the whole time we were there. Anyway, long story short, the show was a great success. Now, a few days ago, I read in the news that, and I have to refer to a write-up on this, but I read in the news that a few minors got 3 young girls were arrested in Burundi for, so 3 teenage schoolgirls in Burundi were arrested for doodling on the president's photo in their textbooks. So you know how we could be idle in class or in school or in a meeting, or it happens all the time. So the girls were arrested, and after posting bail and set to stand trial, we are still waiting for their verdict. We don't know what's to happen, and to me, the court is acting independently from the president. There is an ongoing hashtag, Free Our Girls, and it's going viral to get the Burundi government to drop the charges against the young girls. I was once a part of a Free Vanessa Mdee hashtag. Anyway, as a woman, I decided that I would not dwell in that negativity. So immediately after I came out, I continued to defy the odds. I dropped my album a few months after. My album is still the #1 album in East Africa. Hey! But what I'm trying to say is I'm still very much aware of what it's like to be accused for something that you're not guilty of and to have to clean up after that, especially in an industry such as mine. So when I think of instances such as these and my whole journey as a woman and what it's like in this industry and very many other industries, and what people will hold against you, or how people are so quick to sign you off or be like, nope, we're not going to use her. It's important for me to fight for women. So I started a foundation. And with my foundation, so it's called, let me take it all the way back. The foundation is called UDada Foundation. Dada is Swahili for sister. So look at your sister and call her Dada every day and say, hey, Dada, you're killing it. Anyway, UDada is a foundation for young women and girls founded by my sister and I. What we do is we provide solutions. So solutions for quality education, solutions for clean water and sanitation and, health. And we pride ourselves on being like sisters. We want to create a sisterhood or a sistership amongst young women and girls who don't necessarily feel like they have access to women who are in positions of power, or women who have influence, or women who have perspective, which is important, especially coming from where I'm coming from. People don't have much access to the internet, but when they do, their role models are twerk queens. Now, I ain't got nothing against the twerk queen. I twerk all the time. But there has to be depth to it. There's got to be more. Women have to feel as if they can be all these different kinds of women. I'm a dancer. I'm loose. I dress however I want to dress. I'm in control of my image and my body and my messaging. But it's important for young girls to have girls who are popularly known for being whoever they are, but also can be like, hey, this is my story. So we have programs. We started the UDada Talks, which is very similar to the TED Talks. I call them our little powwows, where we go to little community programs, outreach programs, or girls' schools. And I go with someone popular or someone they might see on social media and think, oh, she fancy. But I want her to tell them her story. Everyone's got a story. And so that's what we do. We have the programs like the UDada Talk programs. And then we have the 100 School program. We're lighting up 100 schools. So providing sustainable solutions and clean energy for schools in our region. And I hope that we can branch into more regions. For me, it's all about creating like a better livelihood for our sister girls. So that's what we're doing. We're changing the narrative. We're challenging our governments. And we're taking back what's rightfully ours. Thank you.
Deep Dive with Vanessa Mdee is brought to you by the African Creative Agency in partnership with producer and show creator Amanda Rosenberg.